Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. This is Elizabeth in BioWeez podcast, Meet the Weezard. Today I am glad to be with Roberto Bottino, the CEO of Yves Rocher International Retail. Hi Roberto, how are you?
Hi Elizabeth, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for being
Good to see you. Good to see you.
here. Roberto, I would like to start by asking you what I'm asking all our guests. Could you tell us a bit more about your journey?
Oh, my journey, come on, a large question, Elizabeth. My journey is a journey of pure cosmetic products because, in fact, I am a cosmetic product, me too, and I did all my career in cosmetic industry. Basically, I'm graduating of an economical school in Torino, the university, and after I start my career in cosmetic by chance, in fact, and probably the two main reasons of my career and my journey are chance and curiosity. Chance because I was really very lucky in my career because cosmetic is a very nice industry. I will talk you about that. But I was not supposed to make cosmetic. I was supposed to make finance and bank, which is honestly not in a better shape industry today. Second, I had a great chance because I always work for family companies. And family companies, it's a special universe that has a, in my opinion, long-term vision, industrial dimension, more interested to create value than make money, which is good for company and even probably more performant in the midterm. We have some studies that show that family, well-managed company are more resilient. And what was for me the chance is that family company always put people in the center of the project, what probably correspond better to me and to my personality. Probably the great chance that I had in my life, my professional life, is that I had the chance to manage wonderful brands. And in my job, in our industry, the brand is really the key to be successful on the long term. There is no doubt. If you don't have a strong brand, a unique brand, no success. So thanks to the brands that invite me in this journey. And the second probably point that was interesting in my career was that I'm always try to be curious, curious every day because this has been crucial, but will be even more crucial in the future. You can see how much in the last 12 months the world is changed and will change even more. And in between this world change, probably cosmetic industry is one of the most dynamic. New brands every single day, new offers, disrupting digital that comes quite late in cosmetic, but that explodes all the market. A huge change in the customer attitude, I believe we will talk about. So in my industry, if you're not curious, you are dead. And for that reason, probably I enjoy again so much working cosmetic because it's a very funny industry. It's a very you will see it with a great potential industry, and is an industry where you must be curious every single day because the innovation is always there and is very quick. Is wherever in the world. When I started my career, we had a school of cosmetic. There was a French school, there was a Japan school. Now in the last year, Korean beauty, for example, has been dramatic. So it's a very dynamic. It's a very tough, wonderful, and very smart, really.
I hear you and I can see the passion when you talk about this industry and its dynamic and all the good energy that comes from it. So could you try to explain to us what makes this industry, the cosmetic industry, so specific?
Yeah, sure. Many things, of course, Elizabeth, but to try to summarize, it's a very interesting market. First of all, it's a big market because the market size of cosmetic industry is big. We consider that a good approximation, even if it's not really official, is around 220 billion euro market, which is common money. Second, it's a market, and this is very funny also, that grow since ever. This market, this industry show a resilience that I don't have any comparison, in the industry. In the average, if you look at the last 15, 20 years, this market increased between 5 and 6% per year. And even in the crisis, in the deepest crisis, except 2020, that probably it will be different. Yeah. But even in the biggest crisis, this market always grew to 1, 2, 3%, which is quite amazing. It's a market, third point, that has a very large choice of brands, very large choice of channels. You have a mass market, you have selective, you have professional, you have pharmacies, you have very large, huge range of price. You come from €1 to 2,000, 3,000 euro. You work on the several skin type, several hair type. It's a market that is very Asian oriented because 40% of the market is in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
It's a market that is a very care oriented. 50% of the market is focused on the face care and hair care. So
Mm-hmm.
this part of our body represent more or less 110 billion euro. It's a market that is, as I told you, great potential, in my opinion, in the coming years. For many reasons, offer brands new markets, very dynamic as India, Brazil, and some other market, and a real worldwide appealing for health and beauty products, that's for sure. And is a market, last but not least, has a luxury market that is very profitable if you work correctly, because there is very good level of profitability of cosmetic companies, around 50-20% for the company that public their results. And is a market that has, and again, we go back to the importance of the brand, very high level of capitalization. If you look, for example, to the L'Oréal Group, 2019, of course, 2020 will be probably a little bit different, but in 2019, L'Oréal was doing a 30 billion euro sales. So L'Oréal represent more or less 15% of the total market. They did not so far than 5 billion of profit, and the capitalization of L'Oréal is 150 billion. So it's 30 times the profit. That give you also an idea about how much the asset as a brand is important. And this is also the reason why when you have a trade with brand, the price of selling or purchase a brand is extremely expensive now. So it's a very, very, to resume, dynamic, rich, very large, very Asian, and very profitable market.
That's for sure. And when you talk about branding and pricing, I'm wondering, we can see that, for example, Yves Rocher for the last few years has been expanding on the international scene. And does it impact the branding, the pricing, and everything? Or what other challenge do you actually encounter when you decide to go to market in a foreign country?
Oh, look, Yves Rocher, you know, is when you live in France, Yves Rocher is a part of the asset of the country, you know, is a part of the history of this country, because it's a 60-year brand established since many years wherever in the world. At the very beginning, this company, as you probably know, was a mail order company. After in the 60s, this company became a retail company. And after, since 15 years, we are digital and full distribution company. But since the beginning, what gave this unicity to the brand and to the company was that to be on the segment of sustainable beauty, as we say now, and probably is a company that opened this segment because it was Mr. Yves Rocher vision, and all our products are based on natural and botanical active ingredients. We cultivate ourselves, our plants, we extract. So we are very atypical company. But when we approach new market, based on that is the compound of the company, our challenges, our main challenges are basically always the same. The first one, and I stress on that because that's for me the key, it's always establish very strongly your brand. The brand is your foundation. Without the brand, you cannot do nothing. And the brand personality, the brand positioning, it's extremely important. And this is a very sensitive job. It's very complicated and it's very easy to be wrong. Second, because of our history, it's of course in the market that we open now, especially in Asia, the second point is to choose the good level of the good model of distribution, because we have a different channel. So if you open China tomorrow morning with a brand, probably your model of distribution will be full digital, just on digital, and the physical store arrive late. If you open Thailand, probably you will do social selling. If you open one European market, probably you will have a more traditional model with retail and e-commerce. But the distribution policy, it's extremely important. Third, of course, and you told there is all the marketing mix. And in the marketing mix, of course, the promotion, the price are very important as an element of positioning. But probably to be very basic, first, the main challenge when you open a market, it's always to find the right people to drive the business. Because a lot of times they are local, so they have a different culture than us, they have different attitude and sensitivity, and so it's very complicated. They have to be your ambassador on the market. They have to bring the brand on themselves. And at the very end, they will do the difference, because people always make the difference. And in cosmetic, especially, I really have to prove that the involvement, the commitment, the professionalism of the team makes the difference probably more than in other industry. So that is probably the most sensitive part. Find the right people.
Find the right people and connecting them is exactly what we aim to do here at BioWeez. So this is absolutely a subject that we are completely fond of, is connecting the dots and bring the right people to the right project. You evoked sustainability and the way Yves Rocher has always been on that line since forever. And it's true that now that we are entering the post-COVID era, we can see that everyone awareness when it comes to the planet and the world is all of a sudden awakened. And especially when it comes to do good and to change things in the way we consume it, and sustainability became a real keyword. So how would you say that the cosmetic word entirely answer to that, or can answer to that?
It's for many brands, this is a new sport. Because in the past they were not like that. For us, in fact, it's just what we are doing since 6 years. So I believe that the best answer is to explain you what Yves Rocher is doing since ever. And I give you a few achievements because it's important also for your auditors to realize that this brand was the first one more than 30 years ago to stop the animal test. Now it's a dogma because of course it's not respect of animal is cruel, but at this time we were the only one, and the fact that this brand stopped the animal test avoid to be launched in some market, they request animal tests. So it was also very brave business choice. Since 20 years we didn't distribute any plastic bag in our shop. Finish. If you look at the main topics for example, product level in terms of formulation, we have 100% vegetarian products, and we have more than 600 vegan formulation. Probably we are the number one. We decided, even if it was not mandatory, to cut in our formulation plenty of materials ingredients that we consider not clean today. We don't use silicones, we don't use aluminum salt, we don't use plenty. We have a list of 300 ingredients that we are not obliged to take out, but we decide to take out because we consider that is good. 100% of our active ingredients are natural. 100% of our shower gels and shampoo are biodegradable at the pack level. At the pack level, we use 100% of POT recyclable. All our glasses in the jar are recyclable. All our industrial site, for example, they works now with total green energy. And we have one site in Brittany where the carbon balance is zero. So wow. It's etc. And I have tons of that. Probably this small speech will not be enough to tell, but this is a motto that describes very well for me a sort of attitude, because what the customer is looking for now clearly is even a more clean, natural, and sustainable beauty. And our motto, which is really reduce, reuse, recycle, it's really for me a good program. And we realize since a few years that we are really in the area of what the specialist of marketing named less is more. Customer is looking for the essential, and we have to be able to give to them just the best of the essential. That's probably the future.
That's very inspiring. That's very inspiring, and I think every industries are certainly going to look that way, hopefully. And speaking of the COVID era and everything you just said, I couldn't help myself to think about the fact that this year, the words that have been coming back so much were stay at home, wear a mask, and stay at home. And I'm thinking, especially when you say less is more, so how did the demand react after a year when you need to reinvent yourself when it comes to self-care and to beauty? Is that even matter anymore? How did you observe any change from the demand on this aspect?
Yeah, of course, of course. The impact has been at many levels. Business speaking, the basic impact is for a brand as we are, for example, 60% of our sales are made in store because we have more than 3,000 stores in the world. And the store has been closed this year between 3 and 4 months, total lockdown. When you look at the number of days that a brand like we are stay closed in 2020, it was not 100,000 days, it was million of days. So it's a revolution. And these, of course, generate a real boom of digital activities. Digitally, it's clearly the big winner of the year. Digital under the different forms, because as you probably know, in cosmetic, it's very complete digital ecosystem. You have many ways to touch the customer through digital. You have e-commerce, you have social selling, you have marketplace, you have BA commerce, and it's all these leverages has been very, very interesting. At the customer level, we observe, of course, a huge change in the mix of purchase. People, of course, bought more during 2020 the daily products. And daily is the soap, shower gel, hair shampoo, gel hydroalcoholic. Customer bought more care products for face because we want to keep a good appearance in despite of all this situation. And of course, customer bought much less products has makeup, for example, has a perfume, because these products has a hair, because these products are more linked, of course, to our social dimension. And our social dimension was a little bit hidden. I really saw during this year that in despite of all of that, customer keep a huge envy of cosmetic experience. This was the great surprise of the year. We had a lot of customer writing to us, I want to take care of myself, I want to be nice, I want to be and this is very of course very smart, because this influence your attitude, and this is also very good for the future, because project this industry in the future that will be for me good and not worse. We of course observe a very huge increase of what we name in our horrible name of specialist DNVB, Digital Native Vertical Brand. It means that brand that arrive first on digital, of course, they were more quick to react. But on top of that, I come back, probably I will surprise you, to a very basic issue. We realize how much people and customer, they were looking for human contact. So we had a great result, for example, of all the outbound calls that we do to call the customer. We have great result in terms of sales of the live streaming. So, through your mobile, you contact your store, you have your store manager here and say, oh, what do you want, etc. And you do a sort of virtual visit.
Yes.
We have an excellent level of sales by phone. In fact, we go back at the human topic, and what people learn in this period is that it's important to be human, it's important to be together, and we remain humans at the very end. And this is probably one of the good legacy of this history, even at the business level.
Yes, that's for sure win. To hear that the self-care stayed an important priority for people to connect with the others, that's a positive thing that we can take out of 2020, and it's super glad to hear it from you. And I'm a bit curious also to how did you specifically respond to that change of dynamic when it comes from the demand? I suppose that this requires a quick change of strategy. And did any interesting projects popped up all of a sudden?
Look, of course, a quick reaction to this unexpected situation was mandatory, because, as you know, speediness is the new currency now, and this was true, especially in 2020. Honestly speaking, our global strategy has not been changed. We didn't change the strategy. By the way, we didn't stop any development for the next year. We decide to continue to invest in the future.
Wow.
So the Yves Rocher customer will find in the next year always wonderful products because we never stop that. What some other brand they were obliged to do for
Yeah.
financial reason. We just adapt our business model in 2020 that has been reviewed to take into consideration this situation that was typical. So of course, as every brand, we took a strong measurement to save our cash because this was necessary. Again, when you have 60% of your business in retail and retail is closed, even if the
It's a bit
contribution with the public,
complicated.
it's horrible. Second, we decide since the beginning, because the company is like that, and I approve, to take care of our people. We realized since the beginning that this tsunami would be terrible for all of us and for our people. And our people are, of course, our staff, and especially the staff in the stores, because they are very far and they're alone. All our people are customers. So trying to keep this type of direct link. And all our people, of course, are also all our franchisee, because we have a lot of franchisee. So we help them humanly, but also economically, giving delay in payment, and this is very important. Third, we were able to switch very quick, really in a couple of days, from physical work to home smart work. And for a group having 18,000 people, this is not very simple, but we are quite good. Of course, at the business level, we pushed dramatically the digitalization of our business because it was the only way to touch the customer. And the result of that is that at the end of 2020, as a group as we are, we did more than 50% of digital activity. So the switch has been quite fantastic. And probably, and this is probably the best achievement, we take advantage of this serious problem to transform the company, trying to be more resilient for the future. Because we consider, I hope that we will be right, that the problem will not be 2020, will be how to set up more resilient and more performant and more adapt business for next year. Because this is something that, of course, will leave consequences on the distribution, on the brand, and that this was the menu. It was a very tough year, for sure the hardest in my personal career, but it was for sure the most important in terms of learning. I never imagined to learn so much after all this year of career.
Yeah, we can see that a lot of corporate organizations are trying to think sustainable, not only in the product that they build, but also by investing in themselves and how to think long term and to reinforce their branding and to make sure that they have they can think long term based on this experience. And this is just amazing to hear that we have the ability to learn so much from this year, from this point of view.
This is in my opinion, this is the luxury to work in a family company. Because we don't have, with all the respect, the stock exchange, discussion. We don't have the necessity to justify to third party what we are doing. We have just the responsibility as a management to be coherent with our engagement, our commitment. We have, of course, an engagement in terms of solidarity between us. We have an engagement in terms of, I repeat, economical targets, savings, because this is important. But all of that in a family company, it's always projected, in an horizon that is not the same. And our shareholder always says, guys, I want that you preserve the brand. I don't want that you do whatever. So it's a luxury.
That's great. This really is great. There is one last topic that I would like to pick your brain about. We do believe that tomorrow's projects are going to be much more interdisciplinary, pop us up from all this way of thinking, more holistic, that we need to think of the ecology, like when we're thinking about animals, when we're thinking about humans, and everything comes together in life sciences. And I would like to ask you if you do think that cosmetic projects are also going to build bridges with other industry, as agri-tech, for example.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Those bridges for me are evident for every company, not just for us because we did that since many years, but for every company, this will be absolutely necessary. Um, if you look at the example, for example, as a brand for Yves Rocher brand, we work since the beginning, for example, with natural ingredients. But we work in natural ingredients making agronomy since the beginning. So we select our fields, we transform our fields in biofield, we cultivate our plant, we invest massively in botanical research, and this is a sort of bridge that we already activate. I spent some of my years in my career with in the Pierre Fabre company that is very known, a French company, and I had the chance to work with Mr. Pierre Fabre himself. That was a legend of this job. And Mr. Fabre told me, you know, my friend, we just know and use very small potential of vegetal treasure. He told me, if I remember correctly, less than 20%. So can you imagine how much potential we have just to explore the 80 remaining percent? So these bridges, and especially with the natural world, are for me absolutely compulsory. We have plenty of things to still to discover, and on those directions, for me, AI and new technology will open in the coming years a fantastic territory of progress. Life quality will improve. We know health too. Demand of beauty products will be higher and higher. Skin disease will be reduced dramatically, and all of that because it's the sense of this progress, but also because our customer will ask us as an industry to be more responsible, more clean, more natural, more respectful, but on top of that, more adapt to their skins. Because at the very end, in our industry, we don't have to forget the fact that skin care or face care, whatever, cosmetic product is a product that you put on your skin. So it's very
Exactly.
intimate. It's very intimate and it's very personal just. And this is trust, is a way to trust one brand, the fact that you put on your skin. So more simple, more natural, more clean, less is more committed to the value. This, for me, clearly speaking, the COVID will really squeeze totally this in between brand, you know, not very serious, more opportunistic. It will be very hard time for them because customer, you know, they will pay the price to the customer, and for me this is very good. This is one good legacy. The fact really that market has now really the understanding of all of that. And more globally, as I told you, I am very confident for this industry, not just for our brand. I'm confident also for our brand, but for the industry because I saw how this industry is resilient. I saw how this industry is really useful in our daily life. I saw how this industry also improve itself. You know, you have a plenty of history about cosmetic, about parabens, whatever, but at the very end is an industry that is very critical toward itself and is doing a lot of progress with sort of humility also. So it's for me in the coming years. I really believe that I will remain a pure cosmetic product, Elizabeth, myself, and I will continue on this path because it's a nice journey and it's not finished at all.
Yeah, it seems that it's still full of surprises and dynamic and changes, and the future holds a lot of great things for the cosmetic industry. It was great talking to you, Roberto. It was very empowering.
Thank you so much.